Hello and welcome to Virtual Assistant Technology's free video course number 2. Most outsourcing ventures are full of baloney. They say that good help is hard to find. Well, you know what? It really depends on where you look and what kind of effort you actually put into finding quality hires instead of settling for just anything that pops up. Trust me, no matter what industry you're in, you're bound to come across some of the most creatively incompetent individuals on the planet sooner or later. Now, it may seem like I'm being a little harsh towards outsourced labor, but I've had my share of bad experiences over the years. Over the past decade, I've sourced many tasks and many projects to a broad variety of so-called specialists, only to be inundated with headaches and other ridiculousness. The really frustrating part is that many of these sources had been certified to the ISO 9001 standard, which is a quality management system designed to ensure that an organization is meeting the needs of their clients. Now, I can't be sure how some of these yo-yos happen to actually pass their certification based on some of the experiences that I had, but I suspect that there was either some palm greasing going on or what some may recall from high school as cheating on the exam. One of the first nightmares I experienced was probably about 10 years ago when I first launched my web-based air quality consulting and equipment sales company. We needed a database for our product inventory, our order entry, customer lists, and so on and so forth. We also needed all of this data to be easily accessible through a single, easy-to-use interface, basically an all-in-one enterprise resource planning system. I sourced many of the back-end system and database design tasks to an entity over in Eastern Europe who specialized in these specific fields. His credentials checked out, his portfolio looked really great, so I thought to myself, excellent, this guy knows just what he's doing and it's not going to cost me nearly as much as the commercial software with multi-user licenses, you have to pay for each seat, etc. Needless to say, throughout the course of designing this system, there were more hang-ups, delays, and other issues than one could shake a stick at. Sales data didn't sync up, entry forms pointed to the wrong locations. Anytime one aspect of the database was updated, it would cause another section of the database to malfunction. The list goes on and on. Now, the worst part is that he seemed to be the only one who could fix what was wrong with the system. But again, every time that he would quote-unquote fix something, something else would break, thereby trading one headache for another. Now, the time zone difference between us made it necessary to schedule our teleconferences far in advance. Now, unfortunately, many of these scheduled calls went unanswered on his end, and many times it would take him several days to respond via email. Finally, I just had enough, and I pulled the plug, which led to having to learn how to manage this system in-house, which obviously took time away from our productivity. Now, eventually we got everything under control, but a couple of bugs still remained, although not crippling enough to constitute the high expense of purchasing a pre-packaged ERP system. Now on to nightmare number 2, where we decided to use an Indian programming and development team to configure a content management system and to transition us from one of our customer relations management systems to the new one. One of the primary and most crippling issues I encountered with this was the incorrect configuration of the API, or Advanced Programming Interface. What had happened is they didn't take the proper care to appropriately match the old system fields with the corresponding fields in the new system. Many of the fields that were supposed to match happen to be the most important parts of our incoming website contact forms, existing customer data, sales figures, customer contact details, as well as a lot of other crucial data. So ultimately, this led to yet another bout of in-house scrambling to manually enter the appropriate data into the new system's fields. Luckily, we had retained all the raw database files from the previous CRM, so we had all the correct information. Unfortunately, we just had to enter it all manually, which is both painstaking and time-consuming when you have multiple entries for literally thousands of clients. Did I mention that this all had to be done while maintaining daily core operations? What's worse is that they wound up reloading and repopulating the new database more than once. Each time they did it, it would reset what had previously been entered. There are countless other instances that come to mind, but I think you probably get the idea at this point. So join me for video 3 when we'll take a look at how cheap labor can actually cost you more. So until next time.